Hey out there guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Survive Reviews. I'm Paddy Murphy, your host on this channel, and I'm going to be talking to you a bit today about a game that I've been playing for the last week, kind of non-stop, called Daymare 1998. Daymare 1998 is a third-person survival horror game very similar to games like Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake and also Resident Evil 4, which is not too surprising as Daymare 1998 began life as a Resident Evil 2 Remake project by a bunch of fans in Italy, at the time called Invader Games. They've gone on to become Invader Studios, and they took the work that they had done on the Resident Evil 2 remake they were making and turned that into Daymare 1998 when Capcom came along and slapped the banhammer down saying, no, you're not making that because we want to make a load of money off it. And they did. But luckily, Invader Studios did not give up. They kept going. They changed things around, came up with an original story, got some incredible people involved, from things like Tango Gameworks, the people who made Evil Within, and ex-Capcom employees and things like that. They got lots of advice. And they made this game called Daymare 1998, which released on PC back in September, and it just released on consoles on PS4 and Xbox One literally the 30th of April. Daymare 1998 sees you playing as not one, not two, but three protagonists. So you play as Agent Liev, who is a member of a task force called Hades, H.A.D.E.S. So this game's equivalent of the STARS regime from Resident Evil, even down to the fact that their office, when you actually come across it, is identical to the STARS office from Resident Evil 3 and 2. Agent Liev is very much a hunk style character. He's not a hunk, he's actually a very ugly man, but he's very similar personality wise to the character of Hunk from the Resident Evil games. Agent Liev's first mission is to break into a facility and steal a new virus that the people there are working on. Does that sound familiar at all? Maybe just a little bit?
Roger that. Just the samples.
There's other characters to play as well, including Samuel. Samuel is kind of your everyman character. He is just a regular dude who's pulled into this nightmarish scenario of, or Daymare-ish scenario? Okay, we'll go with that. He's pulled into this Daymare scenario where he really doesn't have a clue what the hell is going on, so he's the avatar for us, the players, for sure. Samuel arrives home from work to find his wife murdered by a Hades member, and he kind of makes it his mission to find this Hades member, hunt him down, and make him answer for what he's done and kill him. And that is what we do. Well, when we're playing as Samuel, his objective is to try and find this character who murdered his wife. And we also play as Raven, who is another member of the Hades Task Force group. He's new to the group, he's a bit wet behind the ears, he's young, he is the rookie, so he is a little bit like our Leon archetype. And he's definitely one of the more fun characters to play as, in my opinion. Daymare 1998 takes place in the city of Keensight, where the Hexacore Corporation have basically been doing all kinds of ungodly experiments, and this gas has been released across the city and begins turning everybody into horrific monsters and zombies. Does this all sound a little familiar? Good. I want to state right now that this is clearly definitely more homage than rip-off. This is not, we just took our Resident Evil 2 remake and just tweaked it and now it's something else. This is a loving homage to the Resident Evil series. The passion for the Resident Evil series is evident throughout. There are so many little Easter eggs. But there's not just Easter eggs for Resident Evil, there's also Easter eggs for stuff like John Carpenter or Wes Craven. There's a great one for Snake Plissken, the Cheryl Motel, which immediately made me think of Silent Hill. There are just some really cool nods to survival horror gaming and horror in general scattered throughout this game, so it's clear to me that Invader Studios are very much so fans of the genre. The gameplay in this game is really solid. It's probably the best thing about it, in my opinion. We'll get to that in a bit, but yeah, I just want to say that I loved the ammo system in this game so much. It reminded me of what we used to love about survival horror games in the late 90s, early 2000s, that they were a bit clunky and they weren't perfect, because the thing is, the more comfortable you get with the controls and the easier it is to do things, it's not as scary anymore. It can never be, because when you're like a badass who is able to whip around, 360 degrees with a gigantic shotgun and blow everything away, you become overpowered, and so the fear factor kind of goes out of it. What I loved about Daymare 1998 is that because the ammo system is realistic, first of all, which I think this is the most realistic ammo system I've experienced in anything outside of a sim, like a shooting sim. You have to actually load your bullets into magazines via combine in the menu, and then you can load those magazines in, and you can either quick reload them where they just pop the magazine in and drop the one that they had in, and you can go back and pick it up later, or you can hold square and they will carefully take that magazine out and put the other one in. It's a great system. I'm not joking. It sounds clunky and awful when you start describing it to somebody, but it is, by the time you get to around chapter 2, you're just like so in tune with it. When I started Daymare 1998, there was definitely a part of me that was like, I want to like this. But at the same time, probably 30-40 minutes into the game, I was like, oh no, I don't think I'm going to like this. I don't think I'm going to like this, because I love supporting indie projects. And so I really wanted to be a champion and support this game. And early on, when I was playing as Agent Liev in the first couple of missions, I really wasn't sure. I really was like, the dialogue is not great, the story is not that engaging. And as I say, for maybe the first hour and a half, I thought, okay, and the gameplay is kind of bad too, because it was all new to me, I guess. For how much of it was familiar from Resident Evil, there were still a lot of new things about it. I am so glad, and this is why I wanted to do this review, I am so glad I stuck with this game. I stuck with it beyond the hour and a half mark, kind of getting into chapter 2 where you take over as Samuel. If you start Daymare 1998 and kind of in around the hour and a half mark you're thinking, oh, this is not my cup of tea, I don't like it, I implore you, stick with it, please, because once you get through halfway through chapter 2, it becomes Resident Evil in so many ways. There's backtracking, there's amazing puzzles, there's just enough ammo for you to get by. I loved it. From that point on, from chapter 2, once you get to the hospital as Samuel, from that point to pretty much the ending of the game, I was in love, bar one awful chase sequence right near the end, which will factor into my score at the end, just because it pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, for about 85% of this game, I was absolutely loving it. In spite of some polish issues, in spite of some bugs, in spite of some design issues, and in spite of what was clearly a low budget and a very small team. What this game has above some even big, massive, high budget AAA studio games is ambition. This is a very ambitious game. We try to do that when we make a feature film like The Perished. Like, we try to go out of our way to, add production value to make it feel big and huge. Now, obviously, it's never going to be to the standard of a film that was made for 5 million or 20 million or 40 million, but we do everything we can to try and make it as good as possible for the people who want to experience something unique, different, and independent. And that is exactly what I believe Invader Studios have done with Daymare 1998. It's rough around the edges, it's not perfect, it will definitely not be everyone's cup of tea, but if you are a diehard kind of old school survival horror fan, grew up in the 90s, grew up in the 2000s, through some of the more difficult survival horror games, this is a return to that type of game in all aspects, from the kind of dodgy-ish voice acting, with the exception of the incredible Paula Dad, who had played Leon in Resident Evil 2, the original game back in 1998.
Hold your fire! I'm a human!
And sadly, Paula Dad passed away during the coronavirus outbreak, which was deeply tragic. He was a massive icon of survival horror.
That can't be. I know her. Ada wouldn't do something like that.
So it was great to hear his voice in this game again, and it's just a shame that he's not going to be around for the sequel, because I really hope there will be a sequel. This game deserves it. Outside of talking about story and kind of straight gameplay mechanics, there's some other cool stuff to talk about, like why it's called Daymare. The reason the game is called Daymare is because Samuel, the character I mentioned earlier, he suffers from hallucinations, which is called in the game Daymare syndrome. So he'll be walking around and he'll just start seeing random hallucinations and stuff. This works great. so terrifying when you're walking down the street, next thing something comes out, you shoot at it, and then it just disappears, and you're like, oh, I wasted a bullet, god damn it, but it's really effective. It reminds me of what Capcom had said they were going to try and do with Resident Evil 3.5 before it became Resident Evil 4. There was this whole game of Leon having hallucinations and stuff. So it seems to me that Invader obviously did their homework, noticed that still hadn't really been brought into a Resident Evil game, and kind of went back and added it in to this game, to Daymare 1998, which is really cool. There's loads of collectibles and kind of hidden items, hidden secret rooms, document logs, there's audio logs, there's all kinds of stuff you can pick up and find throughout the game. And then there's these things called the creepy deer. They're kind of like your raccoon toy collectibles in Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake. It wasn't a raccoon toy collectible in 3 Remake, it was something else. It was a little weird, Mr. Raccoon, I think, but it was a dude. Yeah. That guy. There's these little bobblehead reindeers, and they're all based off of like horror icons. So like the very first one you find is called John Carpentier, which I think is glorious. Then you find ones called like Daymare, and that's like a Nightmare on Elm Street one. I'm halfway through my second playthrough of Daymare 1998, and I'm playing on the Daymare difficulty, which is like hard mode, and it's really friggin' hard, but it's really rewarding. And as I go, I'm trying to find these deer collectibles, because I realized way too late in the game, in my first playthrough, that they actually make a noise and alert you to their presence. So now that I know that, I'm coming for those deer. I'm going to hunt them all down. And I mean, onto that, I would not be playing this again on the higher difficulty if I didn't love it, genuinely. And I need to stress this here. I thought when I started this game that I was going to have to do a fairly negative review of this game. I was terrified, and I didn't want to, because I know how hard it is to make a game. I was a developer from 2009 to 2012, and I know how hard it is to just make a functional game, let alone a good one. So I was terrified at the prospect of having to slate something or say, oh, this isn't great. But I'm so glad that I stuck past that kind of the lackluster intro and kind of just got right in there. And shut up, Morty. Visually, the game does not look great. It's got kind of muddy textures. It's got dated character models. It's got fairly dated animations. But again, this is a small, independent team making it on a low budget. So again, like, the ambition alone is incredible. But if you're somebody who's like, oh, that texture is crap, or oh, why does the character look janky? Yeah, you're probably not going to enjoy this game, because you'd be critiquing all that stuff. But if you can get past the visual defects, you will enjoy the hell out of the game. Also, briefly, this is something I do have to talk about. Performance on the PlayStation 4 is definitely weak. I have a PS4 Pro that I have hooked up to my 4K TV, and I notice significant stutter, significant slowdown, just a very laggy performance in general across this game, which kind of breaks my heart, because I have the Pro and stuff that I thought, okay, it'll be optimized for this, it'll run quite nice, it'll run almost as good as it would on a PC, right? No, because I actually picked up the PC version on Steam and tried it out on my PC there, and I can run it full spec, 60 frames a second. Actually, I can run it 120 frames a second, but I run it at 60, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. And it plays much smoother because you have that beautifully smooth frame rate. So yeah, just a bit disappointed that I understand, again, as a small team, I know how hard it is to port something. I know how hard it is to actually move from one development platform to another. And then, in this case, they're developing for Windows, Xbox One, and PlayStation. So yeah, there's a lot to think about when you're doing that. So if you have the choice of getting it on PC or PS4, I strongly recommend getting it on PC. It is a better version of the game. I'm sorry to say, but it's true. But I guess it's been out longer. It's probably been patched and stuff. So it's definitely worth picking it up on PC. I'm not saying don't get it for the PS4. If you are a console gamer and or the Xbox One, if you're a console gamer and that is your preferred method of play, and you're not going to get something on PC, get Daymare, give it a chance. So here it is, guys, the review score for Daymare 1998 from Let's Survive Paddy Plays. I went back and forth on this so much, and I eventually landed on PlayStation 4 version 7 out of 10. Just because of some of the kind of technical and performance issues, the fact that the story is a bit meh, and that the characters and voice acting is also obviously very low production value, but I give it so many points for ambition. This game is mad ambitious, and gameplay, it's so much fun to play. I'm enjoying my second playthrough on Daymare difficulty massively. If you have PC, I give this an 8 out of 10 on PC. I can't rate Xbox One performance because I don't have one at the moment, unfortunately. Sad face. I had to sell mine not so long ago to pay for that thing, to help pay to make that friggin' movie. On PC, I would give it an 8 out of 10 just because of those performance increases. I really love Daymare I really love Daymare 1998, and I'm not just saying that because there was a part of me that really thought I was coming into this review to, like, at one point, to not have anything nice to say, and that was terrifying to me. But I am so glad that I stuck with it, gave it time. I binged it today. I played it for like 8 hours today, and I was just hooked. That's another thing the game is about, kind of, I guess, between 8 to 10 hours long, depending on how good or bad you are at the game. I'm pretty bad, so that's why it took me long. A bit longer than probably would people who are good, surprisingly. There's 3 difficulties. There's basically easy, normal, and Daymare, which is your hard difficulty. And yeah, it's just a great little game. It's a great independent game. I'd really like to see a sequel. I'd love to have a discussion with the guys from Invader Studios and find out about the process of making a game like this. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. It's not going to win everyone over, but this is survival horror, lads. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly of survival horror. So, not that it's the equivalent of that film, just that it has all of those components. But it's really, it's well worth its budget price. Like, the game is 35 quid on PlayStation, and it's very cheap at the moment on Steam. I'm not sure for how long. By the time this video comes out, it could be even gone back up to a regular price. But even at $30, this is such a steal for $30. So, yeah, Daymare 1998, 7 out of 10 for the PS4 version, and 8 out of 10 for the PC version. Huge thanks to Invader Studios. I did not get a review copy of this game. I want to point that out. I purchased it on my PS4 for $34.99, and then purchased it on my PC on Steam for $8.99. And this game, as I say, started out as a 5 out of 10 or 4 out of 10, and worked its ass off, and worked its way up to a 7 out of 10 on PS4 Pro. Thanks so much as always, guys, for checking out the review. Means a lot to me. Check out Daymare 1998. Follow the guys. Follow Invader Studios on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere. I have some gameplay clips up here already, but I'm going to upload more. Yeah, because I've been really enjoying the game, and even there's part of me that's thinking of doing a full-on Let's Play of the PC version on the channel, because I enjoyed the crap out of it, and I think I could do it faster and better now. I think that, and then I try, and then I realize again that I'm actually not very good at these games. One last thing, actually, before I close out this review. This actually scared me. Like, one thing I will say about Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 Remake is, as much as I love them, they don't really scare me anymore. There was several times in Daymare 1998 where I rounded a corner or I did something and I got a proper jump scare, a proper fright when a zombie just like lashed onto me. Oftentimes they were in very cheap placements where it's like, oh, a corner, and like anybody who has a brain would probably check the corner, but no, I just run and then get like munched on. But yeah, it did scare me. So if you're the type of person who does jump scare easily, you'll get a kick out of this for sure. Thank you, guys. Please, if you like the content you're seeing here on the channel, like and subscribe, and head down below to the description to check out links for Invader Studios and, of course, ourselves, Let's Survive. You can go and check out our Facebook and our Twitter, where we're fairly active pretty much every day now, chatting away with all you folks about survival horror. Anyhow, that's it. As always, guys, let's survive together, and peace out.